I'm really excited about today's guest because Vana and I just met each other a couple months ago at the Tom Ferry event. I got to hear her talk, and what she has done in a short period of time is absolutely incredible. Being a young entrepreneur, she has grown her business in a different way, and she's really leveraged social media. First of all, how you got started, right? And then how you're utilizing and how you've used TikTok to grow your audience, to grow your brand. I mean, at this point, you have like 650,000 followers on TikTok. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of your business is coming from. And you haven't been doing it that long, which is like absolutely like incredible. So why don't you share your story, like how you got into it and kind of like how you've got from where you started to where you are today.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, HighNote, for having me on. Ever since I met you guys, I've been really excited about working with you and just chatting and networking. So I started real estate when I was 18. I became a realtor 3 years ago. I'm 21 now. And I joined Dad's company. I learned how to prospect for a solid year. I was just hitting phones and like open house, very organic prospecting. And through that grit, I sold a bunch of houses. I sold like 15 houses my first year. I made 100 grand. And so at the end of that first year is when I started posting on TikTok. I was already posting on Instagram and such, not like for my real estate business, but that wasn't going anywhere fast. So I got on TikTok and I started sharing my journey about how I got into real estate and what I'm doing for people here in Seattle. And that gained a lot of traction from my generation, because to hear someone who dropped out of college, went to the entrepreneur route and found success, it was pretty inspiring to people. And I still get messages all the time about people get into real estate because they're inspired by me. So that's pretty cool. And
wait a minute, how old are you when you did this?
I got my license when I was 18. And so I started making TikToks when I was like 19.
Oh my gosh. And just some introductions real quick. I'm Mark Choi, founder of HighNote. This is Randy. Introduce yourself real quick, man.
Randy Toby, I run growth at HighNote.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Hey, I've never heard anyone get a license that young before.
It's happening a lot more. The average age of the realtor is still pretty high, as we know, but I mean, there are tons of young realtors coming to the game, especially like in the big cities, Seattle, LA, Texas. We're seeing a lot younger people show up to all these events and getting into the game. Especially I think with real estate tech like yours too, younger people are becoming more enabled to like understand this and utilize it in their business and kind of get an edge in their market, with social media too, obviously, over, veterans who have been in it forever. So go ahead.
It's one of those industries that if you take it seriously, and I'm not knocking college by any means, but it is one of those industries where, you can get an education in under a year's time. Mm-hmm. I mean, to get licensed, it's what, like a week and a half, right? and then the test, and I know the test is challenging, but it's an industry that if you spend a year doing it and really learning from the best, you could be making 150,000, right? Depending on your price point. And I know a lot of people that actually do that and go to school. Right. And they want their education. Their parents want them to have their education and, all that stuff, but they're out there crushing it. So like, I think it's interesting to hear your perspective on that. So. Mm-hmm.
No, literally compared to the cost and time of college, like a 4-year degree, tens of thousands a semester, and then you can just go, like you said, spend 2 weeks and get your real estate license. It's definitely a pretty good alternative route. And that's kind of where I've built a pretty big fan base over, like, instead of going to college, you can go into real estate and build a business. I even talk about doing like off-market wholesaling. You don't even need a license for that. And I've made a bunch of money doing that too. So there's a lot of avenues in real estate, and my whole brand is just kind of about showing Gen Z what they can do instead of going to college and how to set themselves up for the future, because it's pretty unusual for young people. Like everyone else my age isn't really doing this and running a business and buying houses and trying to build up that wealth.
I
So
have a
you're,
quick question. How did you pick up your first set of buyers? You said you did 15 that first year.
Uh-huh.
How did you get that first set? I mean, usually at your age, you don't know a lot of buyers. You don't know. How did you get your leads? How did you do this?
My first few sales were for sale by owner and expired cold calls for listings.
Wow.
Yeah, I Tom Ferried the heck out of it, learned the scripts, pounded the phones every day. I already had a couple people like in my network around my age who wanted to like get into this too. So I trained them while I was being trained, and we were making the calls every day together, just being super, super consistent. And so that's kind of how the business started for me.
That's
so
incredible.
explain your
We're all Tom
transition.
Ferry fans.
Yeah, for sure. Explain your transition from that cold calling traditional model, right? Where you went from 0 transactions to 15 units, 15 sides closed, right?
Mhm.
Explain the transition, how you went into TikTok, right? Or social media in general, and how you're now using that as your #1 lead source.
Yeah, it's pretty fun because I still do organic prospect, and I built a team of 20 from TikTok who I teach how to organic prospect. And what happened was I was going to all these real estate summits, Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, et cetera, and they're saying, you need to get on social media, you need to do video. So I started doing video, and I just started being consistent with the videos too. I was doing like local market updates, how to buy a house, buyer seller education. And then I was also doing the influencer, if you will, side to the brand, where I'm showing young people how to get into real estate and why they should be buying houses, because my generation doesn't know that they need to buy houses. So through TikTok, like I said, I built my team. That's probably the biggest thing that it's done for me, besides bring me like direct buyer seller business, is a bunch of people locally have like DM me, message me like, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to go down the exact same path as you. Can I work for you? You know, so
How big's your team?
I've got 10 licensed agents and 10 unlicensed agents, and I don't work that hard on recruiting.
Well, yeah, I guess your TikTok. And give us an idea, give the audience an idea of your TikTok audience now. How many followers do you have now?
I've got about 620,000 followers as of this morning on TikTok.
Wow.
My most viewed videos are about like house hacking strategy, how you can buy a house at a young age, rent out the other side, live for free, and then my journey and how I've made all this money. So I'm pretty transparent about how much I make on TikTok, because I want people to know exactly what's possible and what that looks like. And then of course, like, I don't like to glamorize it either. I show like how much work this is, what exactly you need to do, what the steps are, because that's kind of a big thing, is like, we see all these gurus online, but the biggest complaint that I've seen is like, they don't even show you how to get started, how to do it. They just want you to buy their course. So I'm pretty adamant about providing free content on TikTok and YouTube, and just to spread that information.
Do you know your content that you're creating, right? And you know, being at the summit, you know, I saw so many people like they're trying to like manufacture content, right? Like they're like, you know, like why you should, you know, everybody posts the same thing, like why rent?
Yeah, I think I know where you're going.
Right? It's like this like manufactured.
Yes.
Your content is more documentation. Like you're not really going down that like strategy, like mapping it all out. Do you just create this stuff on the fly?
Yes, so that's a really good point, because that is what a lot of, I mean, we're in real estate space, so that's what a lot of realtors, investors do, is they post this generic content like 3 things to know when buying a house tours, you know, all these house tours and stuff. It's like a kind of a big mistake, unless it's your own listing, to just post house tours every day, because there's no personality in that, there's no brand. Anyone can do it, and there's no reason for that person to keep following along with you in your journey. You're not telling a story, you're just showing a house. So what I've been pretty successful with on TikTok is speaking Gen Z's language and communicating with them in a way that they understand. So I follow a lot of TikTok trends. I speak really fast and engaging and excited about it, as opposed to like boring content that no one really cares about. I really take the time to think about what the problems my generation is facing. And a lot of times it's they don't want to work forever. They don't want to be in the rat race. They want to figure out how to get into this real estate thing and get up into the top 1%. So I have really built kind of around those topics. And that's how I've built a pretty loyal fan base too.
So you're saying don't do what these other people are doing, find your own voice, like the just listed, just pending, just sold, taking a photo with the sellers, right?
Mhm.
Like that same stuff that we're seeing.
Mhm.
You think that isn't working to their advantage?
It's very generic and it's not really a reason, like you're just hyping yourself up at that point. Rather, we would like to see how exactly did you help this person get their household? What did that process look like? What exactly did you do for the seller that they're so excited about? Tell me the story of what you did so that I can follow along and I can resonate with you and I can realize that you're a real person and you like to do good for our community.
So when you're planning your, and I know you do a lot of your content on the fly,
I do.
when you're planning your content, like, can you walk people through and give them your process and exactly how you do that, right? Like, the first thing that I do is I need to find a good thumbnail and a hook, right? And then I do this, and then I do this, and this is how often I'm posting, and this is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point in my content where I'm just like, I get all these questions from my audience that I know kind of where to structure my videos around. And excuse me, creative process wise, yeah, it's important to have a strong hook. You only get 2 seconds to capture their attention. You want to have really good, valuable content that they actually care about. People don't go on Instagram, TikTok to learn and listen to your 5-minute rant about the market, the state of the market. They come on to be entertained. So combining entertainment and education, and keep it short and simple, concise, and don't give everything away so that they come back for more from you. That is how I structure my videos. Like 30 to 45 seconds is a really good video. But question was, how do we, when I was new to TikTok and coming up with topics, like I said before, I was thinking about the problems that my generation faces and what do I know, having grown up in this business, having been around it, having a lot of knowledge that other 19, 25-year-olds don't know. What can I share that will help them build their future? So that's where I started. That's my niche. As far as realtor side, like actually communicating with my local marketplace, it's a lot of like informational, educational, entertainment. Here's 3 things going on in the market. Here's why you need to buy a house right now. Here's why the market is not crashing. These like buzzwordy topics, just speaking on those is pretty important as someone who already has a platform.
Going from 15 deals in your first year, how many sides did you close last year? Because I know you're also now you've turned a page. You're also doing investing, right? So how many real estate deals did you do last year?
Last year I closed out about 30
units or 30 sides.
Mm-hmm.
And how
mostly buyers or sellers or both?
Oh, it's a good combination.
Yeah.
And how did you generate those deals? And were they predominantly from your social media accounts?
I would say about 20% of the business was from social media. With Instagram, there were already people who know, liked, and trusted me. So when I started posting about real estate, then that, helped them come to me more, right? And then, like I said, posting good quality content that actually provides value instead of like, I sold this house and I just did this and me, right? How can you get into a house at 18 years old? How can you buy in your 20s when you have a job and college student debt? Giving those people opportunities. So good chunk of business from social media, good chunk from referrals nationwide from people who saw my content. Yeah. And then still I was organic prospecting last year for buyers and sellers.
Through TikTok or
cold
open houses?
Calls. Yeah, cold calls.
And of the 600,000 followers you have now, do you like analyze the demographics? Like, who do you think those people are when you craft a video? Because like when I try to do a video and I'm nowhere near your
Yeah.
level, I think about, okay, who's listening, right?
Right,
And so I try to speak in that way to try to, talk to them, because you have to have a picture of what your audience is. But you have so many followers now. How do you figure out, how do you have a voice that you feel resonates? Or do you just kind of just say, I'm just speak the way I've always been speaking and speak to my crew in my generation? Like, how do you do that?
Sometimes we're just talking to everyone. Everyone's on TikTok. It's like 15 to 50 years old is on TikTok. People think it's just for kids, but it really isn't. Like, you'd be surprised the age range on TikTok. My audience, it's a little more than half female and age 18 to 30. So younger generation, don't know anything about real estate. They see me talking about real estate at a young age. They're like, oh my God, who is this girl? Let me listen in. But yeah.
So that's a good point, because people that watch this, right, they're going to sit, we hear this, right? Well, I can't do that because, Vena's is young, this young hustler woman, like, and she's speaking to this specific audience. But do you think that people should try to niche down and talk to a specific group instead of talking to everybody? So like, as an example, my fiance, she's an agent, right? We have a son, she's type 1 diabetic, like, and she mixes personal, like, things that she's doing personally, things with our son, some real estate. She kind of mixes all these in. And I've noticed that a lot of the people that are coming to her, are women in their mid 30s to 50s. They have children, they're going to school, they're doing, this woman entrepreneur, right? But also a mom, she's very much about balance. She doesn't want somebody else raising our son. Do you think that everybody should try to niche down and find the things that they're interested in, talk about those, and then talk to that group? Because I feel like everybody goes to an event and they're like, well, I got to cast this super wide net versus like throwing dynamite in a pond full of fish. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So I really I'm a big proponent of mixing in personal and business. People want to know who you are. You're a real person. You're not just about this one thing. What are your interests, your hobbies? What else can I relate to you about besides the thing that I'm trying to do that you're doing? I'm not an algorithm expert, but my opinion is that you don't need to niche down on an audience, but you do niche down on a topic. So I think especially on TikTok, Instagram, you can do whatever you want. 50% personal, 50% business. TikTok, you want to be about one thing. So I'm all about real estate on TikTok, and whoever comes in and resonates with that content, they're going to stay. So I'm not trying to talk to one audience. I think that's a little bit of a mistake because you don't know who's going to take a big interest in what you're doing, and you might be surprised. Like I get people in their 40s and 50s sometimes commenting on my videos, and I don't need to just talk to Gen Z, but I do need to talk about real estate and building wealth at a young age, because that's my big thing. Because the parents of my audience are watching my videos and sending it to their kids too. So it's a little all over the place.
Wow.
So that's interesting, because you've chosen real estate as a general, right? As a generalized topic. It's not just about buying or selling, which is where we see a lot of people get stuck. And then it's like, well, this and this and this. You're also talking about investing, right? So you're picking up on people that are 30s and 40s and 50s going, well, she's wholesaling deals. Like, I wanted to get into the rental game. Like, let me send her a DM. You start having a conversation. I kind of follow your guidance to, do my first like rental or fix and flip or your first burr, right? And then I'm like, well, you know what? I actually want to sell my house. I got a bunch of equity. I want to trade and also do another investment. Are you seeing that happen too now? Like,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
you've attracted people from the investing side, you're also now getting them on the buy and the sell side?
Yeah, 100%. People see that I'm wholesaling or buying fixers or whatever it is. They'll send me their deals too that they have that they need to, sell and get dispositioned. Or they will come to me and ask for my deals. They'll get on my buyer's list. and want to buy the deals that I'm wholesaling. What's pretty cool too about TikTok is that the people, when they see me doing deals, they are coming to me in the research phase of buyers. So I've got a plenty long list of research phase buyers because, you know, they're not ready yet. They don't have the credit yet. They don't have the employment yet, but they really want to get to where I'm going. So they will come to me and be like, hey, I'm not there yet, but can we just talk for 5 or 10 minutes about how I can get there and what I can do to get on the right path? So that's a big chunk of my audience too, is those people who are going to turn into buyers in the next few years.
Wow.
Another question on that, the investing side.
Mm-hmm.
In order to establish credibility, right? When you're cold calling somebody and you cold call, let's just say a 55-year-old person, you know, that's been in their home for 13 or 14 years. Do you think that you actually investing in real estate, buying properties, rentals, doing all of that stuff, do you think that that amplifies your credibility? Because hell, in a lot of cases, I bet you those people have never even done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's this young, you know, this young woman who comes in and like, you know, we're like, well, I've known Steve for 15 years, you know, the suit guy. Like, do you think that that's helped establish a higher perceived value of your services in comparison to just the everyday agent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, the only thing that it's changed is my confidence in speaking to these people and how I feel about myself, being honest and credible with these people. Because in the beginning, when I was calling about investing, I didn't have all the experience yet or even the knowledge, but I was just leveraging my team, my brokerage. I was like, yeah, my brokerage, we sell this many houses and we buy this many houses. So it wasn't too much of an issue, but yeah, when I started like going on my own and I didn't need as much mentorship anymore on my appointments and talking to people, then I definitely felt a lot better about, you know, how I was talking to sellers. That's a really good point too, because I'm in this investing group with Thatch Nguyen. He's a big mentor of mine.
Mhm.
And people new to the group are coming in like 30s, 40s guys, you know, and gals, and they're like, I don't know how to talk to the sellers, you know, I don't have any experience, I'm scared, what do I say? And for me, I'm like, well, I don't relate anymore because I have experience, but you know, you don't need to look the part is kind of what I learned, is if you have it and you're just giving value to these people. I was really scared when I was 18 years old and
Yeah, I would
meeting
imagine.
people in their 40s and 50s who have owned this house for 20 years and they know what a 1031 exchange is and I don't. I was like, how do I build this credibility? But that's when I really just honed down and worked on my knowledge and my skills so that I could actually deliver value to these people.
When you, yeah, I got a follow-up question. When you go on these listing presentations,
Mhm.
and it may not apply for the wholesaling investment side, how much do you sort of say, hey, I'm a big TikTok influencer? Does that give you credibility at all? And do you use that?
Honestly, I very rarely mention. I really should. Like my coach Patrick Ferry would tell me that I should be leveraging that a lot more in the listing presentation. And if I have a lot of competition, I definitely will, because it's interesting because my TikTok is not necessarily about me being a realtor in Seattle. It's more about me being a resource to Gen Z about home buying education and wealth education. So my edge with TikTok to local buyers and sellers is I've got this national following. People who are moving in state will see me. People who are moving here will see your listing. I'm going to do all my TikToks in your listing and just to give that exposure. But as far as edge, it's funny because sometimes people don't realize how powerful social media can be. So it's a little bit of a presentation to get them there and realize what it is and what it can do for them. But I will say that I'm not using it as much as I should be in listing presentations.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the generation of the seller, right? They may be like, what? That's a thing. And it may discredit. I don't know. Because they sort of, you know, TikTok has that label. It's like, oh, it's for younger people. And so it may do that. And I have a follow-up question to that. The TikTok versus IG, or maybe even YouTube
Just
Shorts.
platforms. Like
Yep.
talk about the platforms, right? And like what's working on all the platforms.
Yep. Absolutely. So this is a good one. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are the ones that I'm most active on. I am active on Facebook, but I don't really post my brand on there. That's kind of my next move, because the people who are buying and selling houses, that's the age range, is on Facebook. But TikTok is pure entertainment with a side of education. Like, you have to keep these people captivated for them to follow. You have the best shot to go viral on TikTok. It's literally like the most equal platform, if you will. It gives everyone a shot to go viral. It's the easiest. It has the most users. Instagram, you can be a little more personal. People like to see the polished image on Instagram versus TikTok. TikTok, people want to see a real and authentic. Instagram wants to see polished, perfect, you look good. That's how Instagram has always been. And then usually what I've seen is that people are following me, they're seeing me on TikTok and then they're following me on Instagram because they want to see more of what I'm about, as opposed to just the information I'm giving out. So post a lot of personal life stuff on Instagram. The difference for me too is that Instagram is more local realtor brand, and then TikTok is big influencer brand. I think it's a little hard to be the local realtor on TikTok because it's so national and there's so many users. The best way to leverage TikTok is with like national brand. And then YouTube is long form education. So I post on YouTube what the people are asking for on TikTok. I'll get the comments on TikTok. Can you give the exact steps to do this? What's the A to Z process for this? How come you people never show how to actually get this done? They are not going to watch the 3-minute video on TikTok. So I send them to the YouTube channel where it's also SEO optimized and it's like purely education videos on YouTube. And then I also have another YouTube channel for local realtors. So I've got 2 channels. Instagram's local realtor, TikTok is influencer.
What about the YouTube Shorts?
Yes, YouTube Shorts. I just post my TikToks onto YouTube Shorts.
Got it. Oh, so you don't even
So you're utilizing some of your information that you're doing
Mhm.
and repurposing it for the other platforms.
Oh yeah, there's only so many hours in a day. I can't make separate ones for all of them. No one does really. We all just repurpose all of it.
Is it easier to create content? Somebody told me that it was easier to create content on TikTok and repurpose it than to create it on Instagram for the other platforms. Is that true or not true?
TikTok is slightly more user friendly. Instagram just brought on shorts like 1 or 2 years ago. So they're a little more clunky on like the editing production side. So I would agree that TikTok is easier to create on. I get that question a lot. Are you using a video app or are you just doing right inside TikTok? All my TikToks happen right inside TikTok. That's where they're made. Instagram Reels, it's a little more production quality. I'll get the nice camera out, the audio, have it edited. But TikTok's 100% like authentic on the fly.
So let's talk about the production, right? Because I think that that's important. Like, I'm trying to figure it out myself, right? Like, do you use your camera? Then do you upload it? Do you go to the desktop version and upload it that way? You know, because like when you do it on your handheld, like it doesn't look that great. So what are some of the steps that you go through when you're creating your content?
So for me, when I create content, I will say though, on TikTok, when you just use your handheld, it doesn't look perfect, but that's the point. You want it to look real and people want to see that you're just, you know, you took the time out of your day in your car or while you're on the job to record something for them and give them some value. For me, I will batch create all of my YouTube videos and my Instagram Reels every 2 weeks.
What does that mean? Batch create?
I sit down for the whole day and I film everything. So I'll film like 4 to 8 YouTube videos and 30 shorts in a day. And
you
then
change your clothes?
Sometimes I'll bring like maybe 2 outfits. It's not that important.
Wow.
I send that off to the editor. Even when I was new, I was doing it by myself, but you can get this edit on Fiverr, Upwork for super cheap. So I'll just send that off, I'll get it back, and then I do TikToks daily. In a really good month, I'll just record 7 TikToks on Sunday and put them in my drafts and post them throughout the week. But Yeah, everything on TikTok is my phone, and then YouTube and Instagram is all just done all at the same time so that I can post it throughout the month.
Gotcha. And
And
you
do you hire a manager to help you post it, or do you kind of just go through it?
I don't have a manager for the posting. I have a videographer who puts all the videos into a folder for me to post myself every day.
do you do that on your mobile phone, or do you do that on your desktop?
Phone. I post everything from my phone. So I'll
Everything.
download all the videos onto my phone. Well, YouTube is going to be desktop, but TikTok, Instagram are on the phone.
Okay. So TikTok is easier to gain followers, easier to go viral, but it is more national, right? More nationalized attention, which, I mean, you can get buyers that are moving into different states. And I mean,
Sure.
this makes total sense. You don't have to be, I mean, you don't have to be young. Like Glenda Baker, I think is an absolute phenomenon.
Love her.
And she went viral. And I don't know how old Glenda is, but you know, I mean, I think that her children are in college or something like that. I don't know. Glenda's older, but she went totally viral on TikTok and is now crushing it. And she's diversified her business now because of that, like where she was just, and I know that you're in that process as well. Like it's funny because the goal is always to get into real estate, and the goal is also to get out of real estate. Right. Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because everybody, you know, there's so much great money to be made, but it's a ton of work. You know, I mean, you definitely got to work your butt off to be a successful agent. So how have you you've already started to do that? Like you're established as an actual brand now, and now it sounds like you got 3 or 4 companies or channels of revenue. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you've managed to do that as well?
Yeah, I would say real quick, Randy, is that with TikTok, I keep losing my train of thought. We're talking about Glenda Baker. She's older. Oh, okay. So on TikTok, you can be local. You can just talk about, you know, what things to do in Seattle, what it's like to move into Seattle, what it's like to live here. And you are probably just going to have a smaller following, and those people will send you business though. So that's a good thing. But if you want to become a brand, if you want to become an influencer, if you want to monetize a following, then you're going to want to be national. So that's my 2 cents on that. But it's really interesting right now with my brand strategy that you're asking about. Is I could create a course, I could go to EXP or Reel and build a ginormous recruiting business, but neither of those things are either within my principles or my end game. So I really want my monetization of my social media to be passive. So I'm doing a lot of affiliate right now. I'm doing a lot of brand deals. I'm doing YouTube, working on monetizing that and just getting that to where social media is paying me a good amount of money every month, and I can do what I want and keep helping people that way.
And to kind of excite people, right? What does a brand deal look like? And like, how many followers would it require to do that? I mean, I've heard 5,000 and you could do it.
Oh yeah, I've seen people with less than 10,000 followers making pretty good money on brand deals, because like I said before, when you're just like local, you're super niche down. Usually maybe like a lot of like fashion girlies will have less than 10,000 followers, and they get pretty good brand deals from like fashion clothes and stuff. That's what I've seen a lot. So it doesn't take much to start monetizing, but what these brands will look at is your engagement. So you could have 500,000 followers, but if you have no engagement and it just looks like you bought them, then you're not going to get paid very much. They're not going to see those metrics. That's what they go off of to determine how much you're worth.
Yeah, I see that all the time. Like anybody who watches this, don't buy followers. Like don't do it, because like it just looks ridiculous. Like I've seen a handful of people and they're gurus, and then you look at their comments and it's all people from like Pakistan, you know, and no disrespect to Pakistan or whatever, right? They're just from like random countries, and they're like commenting with thumbs up. And then you look at it, it's like you have 50,000 followers and you have 5 comments.
Right. Like, exactly.
I mean, I think that the average person can see that. Like they see right through it now. We've kind of been conditioned to do that versus somebody that's real. You know, it's actually real people commenting. I mean, when I personally comment on Instagram, I don't write 13 sentences. It's always like, I love what you're doing. This is rad. Keep it up,
Right.
stuff like that. But I think that that's a good point, right? It's all about how connected you are to that audience. In a brand deal, let's just say you got 5,000, 10,000 followers. How much could an agent potentially earn off of that?
5 to 10,000 followers. I would say you could be definitely in like the $2 to $5 grand range for a set of videos, maybe 2 to 3 videos.
That's
Um,
pretty good.
yeah.
I mean, that's an extra deal, right? Like, I mean,
right. I would say the brands, they're not gonna hit your inbox when you have 5 to 10,000, but doing brand outreach is a big thing that I see people with smaller audience do. They will directly like cold call the brands, right? And be like, hey, I've got this audience, I can sell your stuff. What can we do?
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So-
All right.
Go ahead,
Randy, I
Mark.
got a question. Yeah. So there are some, I was going to talk about how if agents are interested in getting started with TikTok, what would they do? What would you say? But Randy, what was your question though? I didn't
Yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
divert.
No, that's a
No,
great
okay.
question.
So, a lot of agents or a lot of people listening are going to be, they're sort of intimidated by TikTok, right? They feel like they're not cool enough, they're not young enough, but they need to get into it. And I felt this personally like 2 years ago when it started taking off and everyone was doing dances and all kinds of, meme types of videos that were super funny. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not that funny. And I'm intimidated by this. And I'm not going to dance and I'm not going to do all the text and everything else, the labels on there to make it entertaining and then add the music. But tell us, like, if an agent that's on this now is interested in using TikTok to build their business, first of all, would you approach it that way? And it doesn't sound like you want to exactly approach it that way. Don't do it to build your business, right? But how would you give advice to someone who's a little intimidated by TikTok to get going with it?
No, that's a really good question. And I don't think that, I don't think it doesn't work for real estate agents. We have so many people who are killing it and getting lots of more business than me from TikTok. And I would say just find out what your niche is, right? So even within real estate, there's a lot of different niches you could follow. You could be like the funny realtor like Zachary Loft, who tells all these stories and ties it back to real estate. You could be the storyteller like Glenda, who through her videos, you can see all these years and decades of experience and how she's a great person to be around. You could be like me, who is talking to the younger generations, strictly like based on my experience so far and documenting my real estate journey. I see a lot of younger realtors who are doing that kind of thing. Is they're like, here's my first week in real estate, what happened? Here's my first month in real estate. And that's kind of pointing towards like the brand deal influencer affiliate marketing side. They want to eventually sell some sort of course. So if you're building your agent business, I would say just get on there, think about what kind of value you can provide. What do people need to know? When I started, I was like, okay, what do people my age need to know about this real estate? I just made 100 grand at 19 years old. What do people need to know so they can do this too? And I didn't have any particular goal, especially not to like attract clients. That kind of content doesn't attract clients. That kind of content attracts employees or new team members or affiliates. So figure out which direction you want to take and just get on there and start making some videos. Honestly, it's not hard. You can start by following trends and doing trending audios and lip syncing or whatever it is. You can
and then just some details though, like, okay, you make a video, you find your niche, and you make something. Now they post it, and sometimes what happens is crickets.
Right.
No one's watching it. You're not getting any new followers, right? So how does someone get started? How do you give people motivation? What are the tricks or tips on how to get those followers and get it seen?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is you never know which video is going to go off. Sometimes I post a video expecting less than 10,000 views and then it gets 8 million. So Gary
8 million views. What video was that?
That was my highest viewed video. I actually got a Business Insider blog written about it. It was about how
what video was that?
Well, it's actually so funny, and I will get back to your question, but
okay,
it was a video about house hacking. It was like a back and forth conversation with myself. I'm like, hey, your house is awesome. How much do you pay to live here? I live $200 a month to live. I pay $200 a month to live here. What? How do you pay $200? Oh, I'm renting out the upstairs, downstairs, blah, blah, blah. Right. And I got 8 million views. And I think it was something like 20,000 comments, absolutely hating on the video and saying it was like these people who were totally against landlords. And they're like, this is why there's a housing crisis. You're just leeching off people. You're living for free. You're making them pay your mortgage. You didn't even do anything, etc. Right? Like totally tone deaf. But it blew up, and that was fine with me. And then this guy from Business Insider hit me up, and he wrote an article about how people are like complaining about house hacking, which is so interesting because how about the apartment owner of the apartment that you live in of 200 units? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like people are hating, because if they were a landlord and you own the place, what would you do? I mean, would you not? If you own the place, would you not rent it? I don't understand. So,
well, I think it's really ironic because it's like, here I am with my house that I'm living in and renting out rooms, but there are hedge funds with thousands of units.
oh yeah.
But to answer the question about what real estate agents should do,
like after you make the video, you post it. How do you get it seen? Hashtags. What are the tricks and tips do you use to get it in people's?
The way to get it seen, and this is a good question because I do see people, like I'll see people months on end, they're posting every single day about like stuff that no one cares about. So that's the first thing, is like, it has to be valuable. It has to be, you have to be high energy. My mentor Thatch, I mean, everyone knows him. He's got a couple million followers. His videos are super high energy, super engaging, real numbers, really, what's that word? Like flashy background. Like he does it with his Rolls Royces and his mansions, etc. He talks about don't buy the nice house, buy the fixer. So something to look at and something to hear, that's like the two things. And when people are watching video, they need to see like a really good background or something interesting about what you got going on, and then your audio needs to be good. But Gary Vee right now is saying that you need to post 4 times a day to get big on TikTok. This year it's harder to get big on TikTok than it was in previous years because it's getting so saturated and popular. But all you can do is like keep posting every day and figure out what works. You can just rip off and duplicate other people. I always take inspiration from other influencers. I'm not doing exactly what they're doing because you look like a ripoff, but definitely drawing inspiration and seeing exactly what works for them. What kind of hooks are they using? What kind of call to actions are they using? Why did this video of theirs blow up and get 500,000 views when their last one only got 3,000? And kind of doing that market research. Like I was addicted to TikTok before I started posting. I was like, okay, I've been on here long enough. I'm seeing what works for people. Let me try this myself. And so I did go viral on my first try.
On your first try? Wow.
Actually, it's funny when I do think about it. It was like my first try after like a year prior, I was trying to do the local realtor thing, and that just wasn't working for me. So I was like, okay, let me get on here and talk about my story. Like, this is pretty unusual. People around me are telling me I'm killing it. Let me see if I can do something with this. So.
As a business question, right? We at HighNote, we want to reach more people.
Yeah.
Right? Like we want to reach more people. We want to help more people with our product and our services. What would your recommendations to us be? And again, as constructive as you possibly could be.
Be brutally honest.
Yeah, like
don't worry, I got you guys.
Because like we're learning too, and this is part of the reason that I mean, you're a HighNote user, right? And what you've done is incredible. And I would love to hear from you personally what you think that we should be doing.
You should be posting people's success stories all the time and just their testimonials and what people love about HighNote. Like I said, inside this investing group that I'm in with Thatch, he puts his students on the videos all the time. Like he pulls us out. I've done like 3 with him. He pulls us out. He puts us in front of the Rolls Royce or inside the Rolls Royce. We've done one together. And he's like, Bana, tell us about this deal you just did and how, and he doesn't even say like, tell me about how great Springboard is. He said, tell me about the deal you did as a result of being in our program. So like, it's really easy with HighNote, right? You guys already have the written testimonials. I just won 2 listings this week with HighNote. I just did this, this, and this. And showing exactly what it looks like in the process of using HighNote in a presentation or otherwise. and putting that up and exciting for people. Because like real estate agents, they follow me and they comment on my videos all the time. How do you get deals? How do you actually get your leads, right? How can I create more business for myself? It's really hard for new agents. So if I get in, I'm like, well, I just won this listing using HighNote, I'm going to get a bunch of HighNote signups.
Right.
And then, so it has to be a video though, right? It can't be just a
It has
quote.
to be a video.
Yeah.
So with my, I post about how I get my deals pretty often, like between wholesaling and just like listings and buyers. I'll be like, I just made $40,000 wholesaling this house. Here's exactly how I did it. And like in 3 to 4 short steps, I'll share exactly what I did. Like I sent out mailers with this company. I use this app, etc.
So details,
Interesting.
they want to see the detail. It's
Yeah.
sort of
They want
like,
to see the details, but they don't want it to be details. You don't want to go on for too long. It's about,
Yeah.
you have to fit it into a short time.
you know,
Yeah.
Kenny Trung, right? A good friend of HighNote. Do you know Kenny Trung from
I don't think I've
EXP?
met him yet.
He
But,
wasn't,
okay.
he wasn't at Ferry. I don't think he was at Ferry this year. He attended virtually.
He used to work for me at Climb Real Estate, and he's a big HighNote influencer and user, and he's got a big team. He's the second largest team in the world, EXP team, but he does a ton of IG stories, ton. I mean, if you want to catch up with Kenny, you don't even need to get on a phone call. You just want to just watch his stories, and it's like super detailed minutia of his day, but they're so entertaining, and there's like 30, 40 different stories. And you know, and it's interesting because he's telling a story, right? And
Yeah.
do you
and
look
he
at
got-
IG
and he-
story? We didn't talk about IG stories, but is that sort of, you know, for people that only know IG, don't know TikTok? Is it the stories, there's reels and shorts in IG? Break it down for us, and how do you?
Yeah, I love
how do you see it?
Instagram stories. Same thing. I'll come home and like my family doesn't even need to ask about my day because they already saw it happen online. Or it's like, I'll tell them I went somewhere, they're like, oh yeah, I saw that. But no, IG stories are very powerful, and IG stories, I would say, are for the people who are in your circle. Like they really are loyal and actually love who you are in addition to what you do. And they want to see what you're doing because they want to draw inspiration, they want to be entertained, etc. Sometimes it feels like a waste because it only lasts 24 hours, but I love them. I love stories because it helps me keep what's that word, like keep in touch with my audience. And I sell a lot of affiliate through the stories because it's like on the fly. It's a really good way for people to engage with you because it's right there. It's swipe up and talk to me about this thing that I posted, as opposed to leaving a comment on a post. You can get directly into my DMs by sliding up on my story. So yeah, I like stories a lot for building those connections with your audience.
But it can be used. So people don't understand that your social media can be used as your modern day CRM.
Oh yeah.
Because you go into a CRM and everyone's like, oh, you gotta have a CRM, you gotta, and listen, I came from the CRM space, right? I'm not, saying that it's not worthwhile. But if you think about all the canned stuff that you're sending out, right? Like the newsletter and this and that, right? It doesn't even really feel that authentic. And everyone's like looking for the best emails, like this and that.
Right.
Like when you could literally just post like you getting into your car with a freaking cup of coffee and then something, and let's just say 50 people in your network see it, right? And you consistently do that every single day. You start to connect with that person. From the time that you and I met to now, I am way more connected to you than I think that I ever could have been if you would have put me on an email drip campaign. We've
really
had conversations. You like my stuff, I like your stuff. And I think that everybody, when you are working with clients, you should find out which platform that they're on, and you should follow them or friend them or do this, because it's so easy when little Johnny's having a birthday party to go in and smash the heart button, right? Because what do? They go in, oh, who liked this? Oh, Vena, right? Da, 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 da. Or comment, like, looks like a great birthday party. Like you can utilize this to hack CRM. And quite frankly, people are like, oh, you're not following up with your people enough. Actually, I am. I'm following up with them daily, multiple times. And I think that is truly going to be the future of connectivity.
I love it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Between people. And like these days of like You know, you don't need to tell me how to clean my gutters, right? Turn back the clocks. You know, I mean, listen, I've been on the CRM side, you know, like
Yeah.
I know when it's daylight savings time, and I've been cleaning gutters out for, I don't know, 30 something years. We have fall and winter here. So like, you know, like I think that going your direction and utilizing these platforms to stay connected is ultimately it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all about staying top of mind. So daily stories about what you're doing, you're hanging out with your kids, you're going to the gym, whatever it is, as opposed to like you said, this weekly newsletter about BS that no one cares about. It's so much better. It's so much more personal. And then you're talking about your personal life, you're talking about how your business is going. And then once you sprinkle in those little, hey, you have someone who's looking to buy a house, let me help them out. Here's something that people don't know about the market right now. Here's why it's a great time to blah, blah, blah. You sprinkle that in with your personal content that people are already being entertained by. They're already trained to like your content. So they're going to resonate. They're going to work with you forever.
Awesome. I appreciate the time. I know we're up against the hour here.
This is so helpful. Yeah.
For anybody that has watched this, how or watches this, because we post it everywhere as well, how does somebody connect with you?
I'm on everything, as we talked about. I'm on Facebook. My name is spelled out Vayna. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm putting out a lot more stuff on YouTube, and then I've got an email list in the works where I'm going to be sending out real valuable content to people every week. So yeah, DM me on Instagram, text me, whatever it is. I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you, Vayna. And anybody who's
guys.
watched this, definitely, I recommend connecting with her. Her content is phenomenal. Make sure that you do, and rip her off in the most polite way.
There you go.
Right?
Awesome.
Well, Vayna, we are huge fans of you, and just want to thank you for being on the show. And you know, we're looking forward to watching you throughout. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing and keep teaching us. You've been an inspiration to us all.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Bye,
again.
everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Want to keep getting tips? Hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks for watching, and we hope you get a lot out of this.